Welcome to Healing the System. I'm your host, Leigh Roberson. In this episode, I'm pumped to introduce Carrie Wren, certified coach, recovering good girl, and the badass host of From Good Girl to Grown Ass Woman. Get a real-time demo of life coaching as Carrie flips the script on me.
If it works, cool. If it doesn't, also cool.
We're still sitting around a fire pit.
We are absolutely sitting around a fire pit right now. And it's a gorgeous day. It's been super cold. And today is like, it's 60 degrees right now.
Wait, your watch tells you the temperature?
Yo, yeah, yeah.
So old school, I don't have one.
So I got this for Christmas. Luke has one, and I realized how valuable it could be. It's really great for ADD.
Oh.
So it connects to your phone. So essentially, if I'm driving around and I have my directions on, but I still miss a turn, I won't anymore because it buzzes right before I'm supposed to take a turn.
Oh, it's like a little shock collar for your wrist.
It is. It's like a little shock collar. And it does that with alarms. When I wake up, I sleep with it. So in the morning, I feel my alarm go off.
Oh.
But it also tracks my sleep.
Oh. I feel like this is information that I feel overwhelmed already. I want to say, did I sleep? Did I not sleep? That's the information. But you're saying you like the more information.
I like the information because part of this was a solution for me to track my health records.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So I years ago, I was wake up in the middle of the night with my heart rate through the roof. And then I'd have to go tell a doctor, and they'd look at me like I had 4 heads. Now I can literally send my health.
You have the data
literal
from
data.
Your actual body.
You don't have to just discredit me because I'm, telling you something new. I have actual proof. Even my heart, it keeps track of my heart rate. It has connection to an EKG. So if you want to, in the moment, do an EKG, you can show them hey, I'm not crazy. Which is what I've been told a lot, is you're just anxious, which, by the way, anxiety is no freaking joke.
I was going to say, just anxious is there's no just.
No, there is no just.
Anxious.
So really it was it helps me with directions. It keeps track of my health. It also is really neat. I like checking off boxes. So it keeps track. It has these 3 rings for activity.
I've heard about the rings. When I go hiking with my buddies, they're looking to see, did they close their rings?
Yeah.
Is that it?
It's like a dopamine rush.
Okay. I do love dopamine. So.
Exactly. So every time we're out and I'm I closed a ring. Yes. So yeah, that's all to say. My watch does tell me how cold
great.
it is.
That's great. Your watch says it's nice, and it's
It
nice,
is.
So.
It is. Okay, so I'm so excited to be sitting here with you. I met Carrie, I believe it was early 2018.
That sounds right. Because, I've not seen you until now, I've not seen you since pre-pandemic, and that was actually a while ago.
I feel I don't remember when this was. I think it was after the pandemic, though. I ran into you with a friend at a restaurant in Plaza.
Okay, sounds familiar.
They have outdoor seating. They're super LGBTQ friendly, and they have drag shows. And do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, yes. Artisan's Palette, shout out.
Artisan's Palette!
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
My gosh. They're phenomenal. They take such great care of me every time I eat there. They take my food allergies into consideration.
Yeah.
Even, I'm not drinking, I'm sober by choice right now, but it helps with my autoimmune stuff. But when I was drinking, down to the ingredients, every single thing that went into a drink, they were can you have this? Are you okay with this? We cooked this separately for you. And so that's one of my safe places, and I'm excited. But that is where I remember running into you.
We did, that's right.
It was very brief. But yeah, other than that, and it was, like I said, brief, it was all pre-pandemic. And
But how do we actually know each other?
that was through the Live Loud Collective. It was like a females empowerment group, which I'm grateful that I met you through there. I'm not a part of that anymore.
Yeah, I think it's sort of disbanded, but some of those relationships that we all met have sustained.
They have.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, I think, were at you were already a life coach when I met you.
Yeah.
I was just starting out my journey as a business owner.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. You genuinely helped me create a foundation and use that lens for everything I do. Like, genuinely. So when you said yes that you'd be on my podcast, I was so excited. I was like, I have to tell people about this human being and my experience. But yeah, when I met you, I was I had just left an abusive working situation.
Oh my God, that's right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you were in the midst of that transition.
My gut just sunk for a minute just even talking about that.
Yeah, just to remember that situation, your body felt it.
Yes. So I was working for someone else. I had just left that, started my own company, and then I found you. And I remember looking at your prices going, oh my God, it was worth every single penny and more. And it's worth whatever you have to we pay for the things that we know are valuable, right? So we adjust, we shift. If you want Starbucks every day, okay, or adjust.
Yeah, I get that.
So that was my first time like paying for something like that was like a big,
right, like a professional service, like investing in yourself, your business, your personal and professional development, your leadership. Yeah, right. Like, and I remember that for me, the first time that I invested in a coach, I was like scared out of my mind and like, and it was one of those things, like we tell ourselves we can't, and for some things and some times in our lives, that's true, right? We can't.
Sure.
And for me, that first time that I hired a coach, I knew that I could. It's just that, like you, I hadn't before. And so it's like, how could I possibly?
Sure.
And, you know, I knew I could. I just was scared.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's sort of knowing our own, like the nuts and bolts of our financial situation, right? And also knowing just what's an edge for us or what's like we can. It's just outside the comfort zone or new or unfamiliar. And that's for anything, right? Like,
but I think it's so important though, like you don't, just like with therapy, like my recommendation is to not go into it and be like, ugh, begrudgingly I'm paying for this and I'm showing up. You are literally investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And so you have to also be ready to do the hard things, I think. Right?
That's right. That's almost just, it's like you're going to start out doing a hard thing, right? Like that investment. And then it's like, there's going to be some more hard things. That's just like, okay, like we're going to do some hard things. And yeah, you're so willing to do hard things.
That's the only reason I'm where I am now. I don't really fully understand where it comes from. I do know my mom taught me about resilience. I would say that she is a huge part of that.
I think resilience was like one of those sort of core essence words that we discovered about you. Is that right?
Yes. So Luke and I were talking about that on the way here. I was trying to find a picture of the book that you made me.
Oh, yeah.
I still have it. It's in my storage unit. I'm just, traveling right now. But I kept it on my desk even years after I did coaching with you. And I think, remind me what the prompt was.
It's essentially, so when we're talking about that core essence of you, it's those inherent qualities about you that defy situation, that defy point of life where you are. It's just those qualities that are unique about you. It's almost like your energetic DNA.
Sure.
So like that resiliency about you, that joyful being, that spark, all of those qualities that are uniquely yours and were yours 6 years ago and will be yours 6 years in the future and forever.
Yeah. That was a really special exercise because part of
I just saw you get like a little emotional.
I got the chills. I got the chills. I think one thing that I noticed, and this is a full circle kind of thing, is like joy came up a lot, resilience came up, motherhood, which was fascinating because A, I don't want children and I won't be having them.
Yep.
Not that they're not great, it's just not for me. And I was a nanny for like 15 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, period. It's just not for me. But it was this like caretaker.
Oh yeah, right. Like that nurturer, like you nurture the people in your lives and the people that are not in your lives. You nurture them too, just through your presence.
The emotion part that I think you just saw was I have been known for my joy and my resilience, but there's a difference between joy and happiness. And joy is a constant thing no matter what is going on.
Yeah.
I had never actually been happy though.
Did you know that at the time?
No. I was constantly in survival mode. I did not know what happiness was. That's where that emotion was coming from.
What is that emotion?
Gratitude. Like I'm so grateful that who I was carried me to where I am now, right? But I'm also great. So I know what it's like to have joy in survival, crisis. And I can do that. It's in me. And I can rally people and do all that. But you can see a shift in my smile. Everyone's like, you have a beautiful smile. It is drastically different now than it was just 2 years ago.
Did you ever like look at pictures of yourself from during that time?
I do.
What do you see?
I see someone trying.
Yeah.
I grew up based on, like my whole foundation was based on religion. Which can be great for many people. But what I lacked were the tools to work through certain things. I also grew up a certain way where I had a lens of what was healthy and what isn't. And when I was with you, I kind of woke up a bit.
There were like those, right, like those flutterings of awakening, we'll say, and right, like that, still that underpinning of this is what I learned, this is what I've been told, this is who I've always been. And any time we're doing personal development work, there can be that tension between who I have been, who I am, and who I am becoming, or who I am capable of becoming.
Yeah.
And there was like right there in that sort of tension point for you.
Yeah, I think this is a really good time to share where that kind of started too, because
Please, yeah.
I think we're in it again. So I'm choosing my words very carefully.
I know, I'm just going to sip my coffee and let you
words really carefully. I mean, it is what it is.
Listen, what do you just want to say? Luke can edit it out.
That's true.
What do you want to say?
I've already said it out loud. It's just like, damn. When I when Trump became president in 2016, that's when I first started like going, wait a minute.
You were like, wait a second. I don't know.
I voted for him.
Oh, have you ever said that out loud?
No, I did because it's all I knew. I was following what my family and the people I was surrounded with were saying. I hadn't learned critical thinking.
Yeah.
I hadn't learned that I could be an individual human. I thought all Christians voted Republican. I thought that's what you just do.
Thanks for your transparency. Thanks for owning that.
I just know I'm not alone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When I started coming out on social media and sharing what I was thinking after the fact and realizing and waking up, there was a slew of people messaging me saying, oh my gosh, me too. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. Thank you for being open about this. And so you grow up a certain way, you vote a certain way, you think a certain way. I'm a bit of a black sheep right now in our family. My mom still loves me dearly. She's been hanging on tight. We've been having hard conversations.
Wow.
Which I'm grateful for. Yeah. We couldn't have done that in probably I would say the last 2 years. We've been actively working on our relationship and having hard conversations. But
what's different about you that has made that possible? If we take your mom out of the equation because she's her own person and she brings what she brings to the relationship, like who are you and what do you bring to the relationship that makes that possible, those hard conversations?
I'm getting life coached, y'all. I mean, if you want to know what it looks like, this is what it looks like. I separated my value from people's opinions.
Whoa. I'm just like, that's taken me like a minute to say it again real slow.
I separated my value from people's opinions. That was one of the hardest things I had to do. When we first started connecting, I remember telling you I wanted to write a book about being a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah.
This is the video version.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think separating my value from people's opinion and then of me, and then also taking that kind of helps you take away a defense mechanism.
Okay, right, because defense mechanisms are, I mean, that's a whole conversation, that's a whole dissertation, really, it really is. Yeah. But like at just, high level, defense mechanisms are the thing by which most people, most of us, are living our lives, because whatever we've constructed as our defense mechanisms to shield against pain, to shield against feeling sad, mad, scared, like that stuff creates a barrier. And for good reason, right? Like there's some protection against discomfort, and also it keeps other people out and it keeps us in.
Yeah. I think in addition to that, I had to be okay with being alone.
Right, like what happens when I release some of those self-protection mechanisms and maybe some people don't like it?
Yeah, because I did that with my dad, my stepdad in like 2021. My papa passed from COVID. I know you knew. He was like the foundation of why I do entrepreneurship. Yeah. And he was one of the first people to kind of show me, too, that we could believe different things and love each other.
He was your person.
He was my person, absolutely. Yeah. And when he passed, I had a realization of, like, how negative... Like, I had been, my stepdad was verbally abusive, and, like, I was begging for his attention and wanted him to be a part of my life. And I remember after my papa passed, we had a bit of a disagreement, and I stood up for myself and I said, I don't want this kind of relationship. And he hasn't spoken to me since that day.
Wow.
And I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, I really
you survived. Yeah.
I survived.
Yeah.
I didn't die.
Yeah. It probably hurt you a whole lot.
It did, but I was ready for it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not saying that to like say like push everybody away that you don't agree with or that crosses the line.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. I've been learning to create soft boundaries. Like,
say what you mean by soft boundaries. I love a boundary. I love a boundary. Say what you mean by soft boundaries.
So I work in the staffing industry.
Yes.
A lot of nannies that I work with, I've learned this in this area of my life, is there's a lot of people walking around with chips on their shoulder because a family treated them improperly. They tried to set a boundary and it wasn't received well. They're not getting paid enough, whatever it might be. And there's tons of people just like throwing hard boundaries online at these parents who, guess what? Nobody taught them how to be employers.
Sure, yeah, right, like, no one kind of teaches it, right, let's expand that. No one taught us how to human. Like,
Nobody taught us how to human.
We're doing our best.
And so, exactly, and so I started thinking, it's like, I was in a horrible working relationship with a nanny family in like 2014. And I got super sick, I got burned out, I collapsed at work, and I was out of work for 3 months. It was awful. Me too. I went through it too.
Yeah.
And I bitched about it at the park, and I bitched about it on my couch, and I bitched about it here and there. I didn't do anything about it until I collapsed.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Ooh. Okay.
So this is where it all stems from. We can have all these like, screw you, screw you, screw you, and screw you. But if we're not, and I want to set this boundary and you better listen to me, or take care of you.
Right.
Exit. Walk away. But like,
That's right. That's really interesting. That's like, there's some nuance in communication there that's like how we set a boundary, like how we communicate our needs, ask for what we need, ask for what we want, and so forth. Like, we can do it in a variety of ways that maybe have a variety of different effectiveness levels, right? And sometimes that, you know, when we're not dealing with like an abuse situation,
Sure.
right? Like when it's just two people trying to work things out, if it's like, okay, this doesn't work for me, here's what I need, how can we work this out? Like, that's going to be received differently and perhaps have a different effectiveness level than screw you, I'm out.
sure. Or begrudgingly going to work every day or whatever it might be.
Right.
But
having the boundary on your insides but not communicating it on your outsides, so then nothing changes.
Sure. And then you're just, you know, it's not good for anybody. But what I did the hard way after I collapsed, I started my own company. And now I educate parents on how to take care of nannies.
Amazing.
And then with this election and watching, the world feels like it's on fire. There's a moment that I wanted to get online. There's somebody that I worked with in the past that was like, thank God there's no they thems anymore. And I was like, I made a whole ass video of tearing their company down. I was gonna post it and be like, everybody go and follow, and this was my experience. I have a lot of power.
Yeah.
I stopped myself. I was glad I made it. Then I deleted it because that would have been a super hard boundary and it could have caused more harm than good. What I chose to do, my soft boundary, was to honor myself and to honor those people that I do care about. And I made a video about what helped me realize I was wrong back in 2016. That's what I'm talking about, soft boundaries. We can scream and we can yell and we can be angry and kick and scream about everything, or we can show people, and it's their choice to accept it or not. All you can do is offer the information.
It sounds a lot like personal responsibility.
It sure does. It sure does. Yeah. Okay. So, speaking of personal responsibility,
Yes.
one of my favorite things that you taught me was how to stand up for myself and how to like stay grounded while I was doing it.
Ooh.
Do you remember this?
Well, so say more. I think I know what you're going to say, but say more.
What I loved about our sessions together is that you're like this yoga guru too. Y'all, she travels the world and does retreats all over the place.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And you gave me a choice to incorporate within our life coaching yoga. Because I was oh my gosh, I was full on survival mode then too, and ADHD mode. I was late all the time. You were waiting for me. You're the one who taught me to be on time. Now I'm like trying to be.
You're welcome, the world. You're welcome.
Yeah. So I was a hot mess. Anyways, you gave me the option to do yoga with it, and we would like just start our sessions with like breathing exercises, some stretching. I also frequently remember doing cartwheels in your studio.
That seems right. Like, how do we want to express some energy today? Cartwheels? Great. Let's do cartwheels.
Yes. So I was, because I grew up within an abusive situation, I had a hard time looking at men in the eyes. Like I could barely look at, I genuinely could not look men in the eyes without feeling like I was like this small, just super tiny, and I was worthless and had nothing valuable to say. And now I have this company at the time with you where I am been put in the line to educate families about nannies and how to take care of them that are like billionaires. And they tell people no every day. And they're these big, scary men, or so I thought. I would lose sleep over conversations.
Wow.
I couldn't breathe. My heart rate would go up, and I would be panicking before I had to call them. And you taught me about this, like, you pulled out a bolster, like this bolster.
Giant, heavy pillow thing. Yes.
Yes. Right. I knew bolster was the word, but I had to go look it up online. I'm like, am I really saying this? Before I came, I was like, is this actually a bolster? But it is such a giant pillow thing.
Yeah.
And it's a bolster.
That's right.
And you put it behind my back.
Yeah.
And you asked me to imagine like myself feeling supported.
Yeah.
Like, what does this feel like on my back?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I would love to hear if you have any more points about like how that situation went. I just remember I had this visual and this feeling. And every time I picked up the phone call and I called a man and had to talk to him about business, I sat up straight.
Ooh, I'm going to do that with you.
Yes, I sat up straight. I wiggled my toes on the ground. I imagined the bolster behind my back, and I imagined myself feeling supported. And I would have those calls, and I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced. And I just want to let you know that the other day, I told a Panthers financial advisor no. And I didn't lose a wink of sleep.
Wow. That's so powerful. You're so powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are all powerful though, that's what like I love about life coaching is it if you let it. If you're willing to do the work and practice, it unlocks that power. Whatever that power is for you.
Right. Like that, it always belonged to you. like that power always has and will. And right, it's like coming into contact, like meeting your own self in that space.
Yeah.
Thank you for recalling that.
Yo, you were there, even if you don't, because you do a lot of things, even if you don't remember it all. I do. And I'm sure all the people that you work with do. Mm. And I remember back around the time that I had a major health flare, probably during COVID.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep. Like, I literally like could not sleep. I was so sick, autoimmune stuff. And you had just learned a sleeping thing.
The yoga of sleep. It's called Yoga Nidra. I remember that.
Can you tell us about what that is?
Yes. So it's like a guided, in its we'll say simplest form, it's a guided muscle relaxation technique that just allows us to really land in our bodies. It's actually, there are certain forms of this that are utilized in trauma therapy, trauma work, and with veterans, VA hospitals, and things like that. So, like, it is a technique for getting our nervous systems to not have to be like in that fight or flight and defense mode, and letting us actually just be. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, as you can tell, y'all, she has a super relaxing voice. I'm over here super loud and bubbly and proud. And also, the way that she is so calm and the way that you show up is so intentional. And I love that. And the yoga nidra that you did with me, I didn't even know you had like learned a way to talk. But I was like telling you as you were guiding me through this practice, which was over the phone.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I couldn't sleep. You called me and had me put you on speakerphone, and you guided me through this practice, and I was like, you sound amazing, and I wish I could listen to you every night. And you're like, oh, I just learned this like thing where you talk to make people sleepy. It's working. It was really good timing.
Oh my gosh. Did we make a recording for you? Did we record that?
I'm pretty, yes, I have it somewhere.
That's great.
Yeah. Part of it I recall was you asked me to go to a safe place. Mm. And that was my grandparents' house that I grew up in.
Yeah.
I don't know what you did. I don't know how I remember you walked me through every single room of that house. Mm. I remember every nook and cranny, the colors of the wall, like something unlocked in my mind. And that was where I felt the most safe. Mm. And until recently, with that handsome guy, I haven't felt that secure and safe since then.
Wow.
That was my, that was my place. But you, like I said, I don't know, the yoga nidra thing, it unlocked a piece of my brain and showed me that. And I could probably draw it if I was a good artist, or describe it to an architect and they could rebuild it.
Wow.
Exactly.
It's that like clear in your mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tools. It's all, I was going to say just tools, but just is like one of these minimizing words, right? Sure. Like it makes it smaller. So I'll recalibrate my language. It's tools. It's tools for unlocking pieces and parts of ourselves so that we can go human in a way that feels and is more empowered and aligned and
yeah. So when we first met, you were specifically doing life coaching. Yeah. You have completely expanded.
That's right. Yeah, expanded. Right. So from life coaching more into executive and leadership coaching. And the reason why for me is impact. And by the way, all people have the capacity to be a leader. So when I say that, it doesn't necessarily mean like you have to have a C in front of your title at work.
Sure.
Like we all have the capacity to be leaders in our organizations, leaders in our companies, leaders in our lives, in our families, in our communities. But the reason why is impact. So because I noticed with you and other folks that I've worked with over the years that what we do is impactful to you, and then that impact then gets to influence in different ways the people that you have relationships and connections with and relationships. And so when I get to support people in those leadership roles and in sometimes in executive roles, there tends to be an even wider net of influence and impact. So I'm like, okay, well, if the work that we do can impact you, great. Amazing.
Yeah.
And then if that impact has the potential to do good things, whatever those good things are, for like an even wider sphere of people, let's do that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm up to these days. And I in particular love working with people in, no shocker, impact-oriented places. And again, that can be anywhere. That is you in your company who's impacting the livelihood and the well-being of people in the staffing industry. That's people in nonprofit and social business work. It's but I notice that that's where I love, and if I get to be even more fulfilled, then that enhances my work with the people that I'm fortunate to work with.
So what would you say is the core of life coaching? Like,
oh my God.
I'm life coaching you now.
It's so hard, Leigh. Here is like a true thing that people that know me really well know about me, that I'm so much more comfortable in that space of curiosity than like being sort of the subject of curiosity.
Sure.
And to be clear, like I work with my own coach and like I do my own personal and professional development work, and it's a less comfortable place for me to be the one like on the receiving end of
I've totally noticed that through this whole time.
Right. He's like, why am I talking so much? I'm supposed to interview her.
I practiced and practiced and practiced not talking so much. I was known for like opening my mouth. Now I'm curious. I'm the curious one.
Yeah.
I want to know about you.
Okay. Okay. I'll do it. I'll get uncomfortable with you.
Ooh. Ooh. I mean, we can only ask people to do what we would do ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
If it's really gonna work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah. I guess I could say what's your favorite part about life coaching, but really I want to like the core. Like, what is life coaching? I mean, because it is, like you said, it's like it's at a basic level staying curious.
Yeah. And I would say this is true of, life coaching, leadership and executive coaching, like it's all same swimming pool. I would say the core is, not to be like, I don't know, not to like try and turn the phrase, but like the core of life coaching is the core. It's like seeking to be super clear about the core of who you are, what you want, what's your purpose, and then what does it look like to live that, right? Not just to have the ideas about it or I wish or if only, but to actually turn that sort of insight and clarity about yourself into life, into, I'm going to use the word manifest and not like in the want to say woo-woo sense.
I mean, I like some woo-woo things, but
I mean, I'm not anti-woo, okay? But it's like not manifesting in that it's something that happens to you, but manifest like means to make real, to make into reality. And so emphasis on the make real, that action-oriented creation, like taking all that information. Who am I? What do I need? What do I want? What's my purpose? What's the impact I want to have in my organization, my life, the world? Bringing it forward, making it happen. Because otherwise, it's just a really good idea.
there's a lot of good ideas swimming out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you kind of provide tools for people to help make those real.
Yeah.
And again, like therapy, you gotta be willing to do that work. And
Yeah. Right. Like you could show up and have a nice conversation with me. Like we could have a great conversation and it feels good and maybe it pushes some buttons and you learn some stuff. And there's value in that. And where that value becomes exponentially impactful is when you then take that and do something with it.
yeah,
Outside of any conversation that we have, like outside in the world that you're living.
would just to make sure I have time to ask this question. I do. I'm respecting your time right now.
Because we had an agreement, right? Like we
did.
set a boundary. Back to boundaries. It's like, okay, we're going to meet, we're going to podcast, it's going to be great. And this is the sort of framing.
Yes.
We have this amount of time and then we'll be complete. Right? So again, that's that communicating boundaries.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like some people get really scared of boundaries, like it has to be like confrontive or whatever. It doesn't actually.
It doesn't have to be that.
No, not at all.
Yes, exactly. Someone asked me to like, I shared this little tidbit on a story on Instagram around the holidays, and they asked me to like make it into a reel, and I haven't yet, so I'll just do this and we'll clip it. But
What is it? I'm so eager.
we were talking about like where our boundary was honoring each other's time. Like we had a cutoff time, right? Like you have other commitments, and even if your commitment was just you,
Totally.
that's okay too, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So I remember two things that people have taught me that I have held on to for, like I could not get them out of my head. Number one, I worked for a chiropractor many years ago, and he would say, when you're having a hard time saying no, let someone know that you just have a meeting later. And it's not a lie, because that meeting, because I do not want to fib.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm over truthful. Like, I mean, I just told you I tried. In 2016, not recently, to be so clear.
Right, because there were a couple of opportunities since then,
It was
and you let those pass by.
Yeah, no, I did not. I am a new critical thinking human being. Thank you. But no, anyways, so if you go, okay, so if you have a hard time saying no, just let someone know you have a meeting. It's not a lie, because it could literally be with yourself. My meeting is with myself, and that is actually more than valuable.
Yeah,
it's fair. It's acceptable. Your time is valuable. So that was number one. So just, if you have a hard time saying no, the soft boundary is, I got a meeting.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Love it.
And it's their responsibility to accept or not, but you're the one that's walking out the door.
Right. That's it. It is, they can accept it or not. And like, you have to be willing to enforce your own boundary.
Exactly.
Let's say they don't, let's say we're going past, it would be up to me to be like, oh, Leigh, you know what? I am loving our conversation and I've got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
That would be up to me to do.
Exactly. It teaches people how to treat you as well.
That's how I define boundary. Teaching people how to treat you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I think a lot of people start with hard boundaries. And then once you, which is fine, like there is no budging. This is how I do things. I will never change it. This is what we do. I'm in protection mode. I'm teaching you, whatever.
Right.
In addition to that, as people learn who you are, if you want to stay later after people know you, part of the character that you've taught is that you don't do anything you don't want to do.
Yep.
So if
you'll ask my partner has said about me, Leigh, he has said, Carrie doesn't do a damn thing she doesn't want to do. And I'm like, you're right. Like I hadn't had that reflection, but it's true.
Then you can trust that person that they want to be here because they want to be here.
That's right.
And so if they do say, I need to leave at 1:30, but they stay to 1:45, you can respect, like you've gotten to a place in your relationship, right? That you can respect that they're doing what is right for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could mean that they leave at 1:30. It could also mean that they are happily, without begrudging, staying.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing about hard boundaries. Because you were saying like, that's like, I'm not budging. This is what it is. Like there is a place for a hard boundary.
I agree.
In like a healthy, well-balanced personhood. Like there's there are I can name you several hard boundaries for me, right?
I agree.
But it's like treating everything as if it's a hard boundary gets real, like just rigid. It's really hard to kind of do life if everything is a hard boundary.
Well, like for example, like I got hurt in a relationship. This is an example, not me. I get hurt in a relationship. I will never love again. I got hurt in a relationship. I will never live with anyone again. I got hurt in a relationship or someone financially abused me and I will never give anyone money again. Right? Like that can be fine for a little bit. Then you're hurting yourself in the long term.
Oh, that's interesting. Like how those boundaries that we put up to protect us and our well-being, like at what point, if ever, does that actually then negatively impact? That's really interesting.
That's kind of what and I think I'm glad you brought this up because sometimes, I can think about 14 things at once. And in my head, I'm like, this totally makes sense what I'm talking about because I'm thinking about what I'm talking about. But I'm glad that we were able to clear that up because it's like, when I talk about hard boundaries, I mean things like that.
Yeah.
And so you might need to do that for a couple years.
Yeah.
And you might need to heal. And then one day, like I did recently, you can start with what I call the sandbox. So you have
what's the sandbox?
The sandbox. It's what you mentioned it earlier. I just have a different name for it. It's like you set certain boundaries and anything can happen within that.
Oh, interesting.
Like it's like from 11:30 to 1:30 we're together.
Yeah.
Whatever happens during that time, great.
Yeah.
I know you respect me, I respect you. I use that within like I like to know things. So it like helps me outline a plan.
I see.
But it doesn't take away from the creativity within in that. So you can do whatever you want with that time. But with the soft boundaries, I actually recently wrote a song about...
Wrote a song?
Yeah!
What?
I've been writing since I was like a kid, but I stopped around, when I left the church, I got real I just kind of quit.
Yeah.
Then I met Luke and I started writing again.
So you wrote a song.
I wrote a song and basically there's a line that says where the sharp edges turn to grace. And that's what I'm talking about with soft boundaries. Letting love back in, trying again, being open to being hurt again.
And this is, again, like this is a whole other conversation,
Yeah, I know.
right? But like to be in relationship, to be open to love, like giving and receiving love, it's also to be open to being hurt.
Yeah.
Like that's how it goes. Like you don't get to choose.
Right. So you can wall up
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
It's your choice.
You can.
You absolutely can. We have such a short amount of time on this planet.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful one. And this is probably where the resilience and the joy people talk about come in. But like, I refused to let anyone dictate my future based off of the ending of my last relationship.
Yeah. Now you said there were two things you had learned. There was the one about boundaries.
Yes. The other one, which is really great. So it encompasses boundaries, but essentially, during the holidays or during a birthday or family event or whatever it might be, or it could a work thing, whatever it is, drive separately.
Oh, I love to drive separately.
Drive separately.
I know carpooling, like it's a better environmental choice. It totally is. And I love to drive separately because I may want to go. I want to go home.
I'm here for the environment, and for real. And also,
yes,
it's really hard to set a boundary when someone else drove.
Yes.
So the thing that I want to say is that you are never stuck.
Oh, you're never stuck.
You're never stuck. And that is something that changed my life. So whether you're in a work setting, a family setting, even if it's hard, you can leave. There's nothing holding you back except the choice of, am I okay being alone? Am I okay with myself? Do I love myself enough to know that if I set this boundary and I walk out, or I walk out the store, that their response is unfavorable? Am I okay with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It has changed my life. I did not love myself before. I love myself now enough to say, no, thank you. I do not agree with this type of behavior, or I'm only spending 45 minutes here, and now I'm going to go sit in the grass and hug trees. And
relatable.
So yeah, that was like probably way longer of a clip than they meant, but I had made it real short. So maybe I do have to re-record it.
Okay.
But it's fine. So anyways, those are the two major things. My therapist had taught me, you are not stuck. And that had always been my biggest fear. And I'm not. You literally, I can get up and leave anytime. But I have to be willing to be alone and be okay with that. And I am.
Thanks for your courage.
Thanks for being a part of the journey. I am so grateful for you. I'm grateful to be sitting here. As we wrap up, do you have any retreats coming up? Do you have, what is going on?
Oh my gosh. I do. I do. I do. So my partner and I, in Explore and Expand retreats, facilitate usually 4 international retreats a year. And they all have their own personality. Some are more adventure-oriented, some are more culture-oriented, some are more leisure, R&R. But there's so much that make these retreats special. And in addition to that, we've curated really beautiful accommodations, really beautiful, local, off the beaten path, special experiences for people. These are small groups, so max of 12 people.
Oh, that's great.
Max. And what happens is people become family, actually. So wherever we are in the world, Morocco, Peru, Thailand, these are all places that we've been and are going. Wherever we are in the world, there's this connection that happens between people, that the retreats themselves help to facilitate, create space for. And I am telling you, people maintain these connections for, I mean, years, maybe forever. I don't know. I haven't gotten to forever yet, but so I will say, you know, please, if you enjoy travel and want to go with a really fun, cool, interesting group of people that you might not have otherwise met. Also, if you're afraid of travel, like sometimes people travel with us and they haven't been out of the country before, but they trust us to provide and inform them of everything that they need to do so and feel secure about it. That's a really great opportunity. So all you have to do is show up at the airport and we've got you from there.
That's so good. So good. And these are typically like, they lean towards more like you do yoga, hiking.
Yeah, it's interesting. Right. So we say that we're not your average yoga retreat because this is not waking up at 5 a.m. and chanting for an hour and then doing yoga for 2 hours. This is not that. Like you could do that if you wanted, but that sort of yoga and meditation and personal development space is usually a once a day, and it's a place to gather. Some people come to all of them. Some people come to none of them.
Okay.
Some people come to some of them. But it's a space of reflection and getting connected with yourself.
Yeah.
Really. And so that is something that is an anchor point of these experiences, and it's totally optional.
Sure.
You know, so a lot of people that I may know from the yoga community want to come, and their partner or their mom or their best friend or somebody they want to travel with, never been on a yoga mat. Fine.
Okay.
Great. They may or may not step on a yoga mat during the retreat.
So you don't have to be like a certain level of experience or have a certain
No.
Okay. That's good.
No.
That's very good. So this sounds like a really good opportunity for someone that wants to step into this who hasn't experienced anything like it.
Yes, or maybe you have and you want like whatever you've experienced of it before, you might want like a 10x. And I'm just going to say they're really good.
Okay. So good. I love that. That's so good. All right. Where can they find your information, like your website, all that kind of stuff?
So my personal website for coaching, leadership development, team facilitation, all of those sort of personal, professional development kinds of things, it's myname.com. It's carriewren.com.
Not
I'm
it's
sure
my
it'll be.
name.
It's no. Oh my God, what if people like...
I know. What if people went to itsmyname.com?
Which I'm going to do after this to see what's there. Something's there.
It's carriewren.com.
I'm sure it'll be in the show notes. I'm positive.
for sure. I'm going to list all the things. It's just cute.
And the retreat's website is long, so better to link from the show notes.
You got it.
Explore and expand retreats.com. We're exploring the world. We're expanding our experience of the world. Explore and expand retreats.com.
Love it.
Thank you. Thanks for having this conversation with me. Thank you for coming to my backyard. Thank you for the impact that you have on the nannies and staffing household professionals that you work with, that you serve, the families that you serve. Thank you for the impact that you have in the community through your social justice work, through your work with allergy-sensitive families and kiddos.
Thank you.
And thanks for bringing that resiliency and that joy and that depth and the freedom of your own lived experience to other people.
Friend! She ends every session like that, by the way. It's pretty great. You remembered. Thank you. I'm really grateful for you. I'm really excited for people to experience what you have to offer and for you to continue to expand and grow.
Thank you. Me too.
Yay!
Me too. Yay.
Hooray. Mwah.